Hello, and welcome to what's probably going to be the only ever edition of the PDT Show on Twitch. Hey Mook, hey Grax, hey everyone else. So you might be watching this on YouTube, in which case, hello. It's easier to do this than a vlog. Yeah, you came in just in time, because anyone who's been trying to watch this stream on Twitch for the last 10 minutes will know that I didn't bother to turn the right audio mic input thing on. The shoulder thing is the shoulder. It's painful. It's still aching, and no painkillers that they've given me seem to really make the pain stop. It makes it slightly better, but still at times pretty awful. Sleep tends to be the most awful. I mean, in case anyone's not up on this, I fell over, I broke my shoulder. That's the entire story. But yeah, sleep is the main problem. I mean, I'm kind of trying to sleep sort of propped up like this. You can't see, but there's pillows and a duvet behind me and things. No, balls. Mook says balls in the chat. My balls are fine. If anything, they are glorious. Slightly covered in pee from time to time, because my left hand, whilst not being my main hand, is my guidance hand when it comes to weeing, so it's going all over the place. I'm getting used to it, but it's not fun. A certain amount of washing, which is unusual for me. Washing my testicles, it almost never happens, but at the moment I'm having to do it. Maybe once a week. It has been a week since I broke my shoulder, and that's why I'm not playing games at the moment. This is why I'm trying to do some kind of streaming. My left hand is my willy guiding hand, it just always has been, Mook says, perhaps you need to borrow Steve's commode when he's not using it on a Sunday. I think, Steve McNeil from Go 8-Bit, this is, who is writing a book. Go and pre-order it on Amazon. I think it's called Hey Listen, the Obscure History of Video Games or something like that. It's called Hey Listen, it's definitely called that, and it's almost definitely by Steve McNeil, creator of Dara O'Brien's Go 8-Bit. So, there we go. Book hype indeed, Mook. Yeah, absolutely. Incidentally, I felt... it was only recently that I realised I shouldn't be feeling quite uncomfortable about having someone called Mook on our Minecraft server. I was sure that Mook was a racial slur. Looking it up on the internet, I can't see any evidence for Mook being a racial slur. But for a while I was like, that's not alright. Why is this guy going around calling himself Mook? That's not okay. But there we go. I was just telling people that Grax is about to head off to town for shopping, but he needs to get on it. Well, ask me a question then, Grax. I mean, you want to get in on the Ask Me Anything stream, ask me a question, because I will answer anything. I've already talked about my willy guiding hand. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about King of Thieves, the really not very good film with Michael Caine. Mook says, thank God I've been using Mookie for years in games. I went to see it yesterday, which I was saying is odd, because obviously I was off work. How tall is my fridge? Not tall enough, because I've had to try and bend down to put things in it. It's not great. I've been signed off work. Obviously, well, I've signed myself off work, it's still the first week. I'm hoping to go back next week, because I've been going absolutely stir crazy. And, I've basically sent a begging email on Thursday saying, is there anything we can do to let me go back to work next week? It might be that my doctors say I have to be off for a bit longer before going back in. It might be that if I go in, I try and do all my typing and work one-handed, it might not work. But, that's something we'll have to deal with if it doesn't happen. But I was saying it's very odd, the whole thing of being off work as an adult. Most of the time when you're off work, you're kind of housebound. It's either this or that, and you can't really go too far from a toilet. Can they get you a smartphone to do the typing? No, is the short answer, because, our system at work barely works as it is, let alone trying to link it into a smartphone. But also, I'm developing a nice little callus on my thumb from the fact that I've mostly been just typing on my phone all week. So I don't think that's going to be a long-term solution. But so most of the time when you're off work as an adult, you are kind of tied to the house, as it were. You might be able to pop to the shop to get some soup or some painkillers or what have you, but but broken arm, I'm not. I'm restricted from doing work, but I'm not restricted from leaving the house. Google Assistant, no. We use a bespoke system. That's the problem. So we're not using Office or anything like that. There's bespoke systems. There's complicated things that we have to do. It's one of those odd things that is going to make it difficult. I'm hoping that I can because I really need to see other people. That's not a comment on my relationship, by the way, but just in life, I need to see people. Real typing rather than blaggy typing. What? Oh, you mean blaggy typing, the thumb? Yeah, I need to do real typing. I think problem is I'm a great typist. I am good at doing two hands, and so having to do it with only one hand, sort of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and using the mouse it's going to be shit, basically. Oh, right. My bespoke systems have super clever things on that. No, they're just really complicated and faffy. It's not just a typing job, unfortunately. There's lots of sort of technical stuff involved in it. But, yeah, I think we're also going through, we access it through Citrix and things, so there's layers upon layers of just... basically. But yeah, it's odd the way that, I can leave the house with a broken arm. I can't necessarily get my work done with a broken arm, but yeah, Citrix got that reference. We all use Citrix. We all hate Citrix. It's shit. Yeah. But I actually rang my mum the other day and I was like, I don't know about going out. What if someone from work sees me? And she's like, well, if someone from work sees you, just tell them that you're on your way to the doctors. And that always used to be kind of the thing at school, it's like if we ran into anyone, it's like, well, we're just on our way to the doctors at the moment. And it's like, well, actually, Mum, I don't need to do that, because I'm out of the house, I'm still in a fucking sling. My arm is still broken. If I see someone from work, it's like, hey, yeah, I've managed to leave the house. My arm's still broken. I still can't do the work. Because there's two aspects to my work. One aspect is in the office where things are slightly more, well, they're generally not slightly more relaxed, but they're going to be when I go back to work, because I've basically said I can't do very much very quickly. So I'm going to be doing kind of a half job, as it were. But the other half of the job is in a play-out suite somewhere for a major UK broadcaster. I won't go into more detail than that. It's the BBC. But yeah, I won't go into too many details, but everything that needs to be done there needs to be done timely and accurately. And timely in particular is not something that I'm going to be happy with at this point. So, yeah. So, anyway, that's why I wasn't at work yesterday, but I was at the cinema, and why I feel okay saying that. Unfortunately, I chose to go and see King of Thieves, the film starring Michael Caine, Michael Gambon, that Tom bloke who's in things, Paul Whitehouse from Off the Fast Show, Ray Winston, Jim Broadbent. Jim Broadbent playing very much against Jim Broadbent type, because let's face it, Jim Broadbent, he has a type. I don't mean sexually, I mean, he probably does. I'm sure Jim Broadbent probably has a type. Probably quite sort of above what you'd think Jim Broadbent would be able to attain. Let's face it, because he's quite old and famous and has money. So, but yeah, I went to see The King of Thieves, and I was disappointed, man. I mean, I went on my own. Even if my girlfriend wasn't a cheer, there's no way I would have been able to convince her to go and see it, because it was a film about like a group of old white men doing crime. And that's not really her kind of thing. I mean, I don't think there was really a woman in it at all. There was a woman in it, but she died in the first 5 minutes, and that was sort of the motivation for getting them all together. They all met up and planned the crime at her funeral. And every now and then the guy whose wife it was, I think it was his wife, every now and then he would go, "Ooh, she wouldn't really want me to be doing this, but we're doing it anyway." The thing is, it's based on a real life crime, so I guess that it would have been a bit awkward to just go, "Hey, let's cast Oprah Winfrey as one of the old white men London criminals." But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's ways around it. There's ways you could have just made it a bit more diverse. But anyway, the point isn't that it wasn't diverse. The point is that the film was shit. Really, just, yeah. Okay, Grax watched it and had no expectations and thinks it was just okay. Hey, Henry, how you doing? Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is just a kind of chatty stream. Do feel free to ask me any questions and things about my life or about things that have happened, just generally. Yeah, I was hoping. I'm not great, Henry. I'm not great to answer that one, because this whole thing is a bit shit. Yeah, Mook says, sounds like money was thrown at the actors but not at the storyboard, and that's exactly right. It's based on a true crime, and they stuck very closely to the actual events of the crime, as far as I can tell. They kind of put a bit of colour in there, but I was kind of hoping it would be funnier, based on the trailers and things, I think. Because there were jokes in there, it was kind of light-hearted. I sort of wonder if maybe there's an element by which they don't want to glamorise crime. Or maybe they're not allowed to glamorise crime. I know there's certain laws about these things. But yeah, getting those actors together and then giving them a piss-poor script. I mean, it was just such a dry script. Getting these amazing actors and Charlie Cox from Daredevil into it. And it's, just a really dull script. There were very few kind of jokes. There was very little tension, frankly. It all just kind of plodded along. It was very much like spending an evening with a dull elderly relative. It was really sad in a way. It was just not a good film, and I wouldn't recommend it. And that is my review of King of Thieves. I'm really going to need to sort of try and rethink. If I decide to do this kind of video again, I'm going to need to rethink exactly what I'm doing with it. I think I was kind of hoping that I'd have more kind of people or more randoms coming in and, asking me questions and things, and I'd be able to bounce off it. But that's okay. I've still got, I can look up things that have happened and give my opinions on them. I'm not short of opinions. probably list a few key points. What project? So, what, for the video or for the stream? For the film review or for the stream? Probably both, to be honest. Yeah, I think some prep would be necessary. What project would I like to do next? Yes. Grax says like a book or a vlog series, or like Ranger Pod. Not Ranger Pod. I feel like we really exhausted the entertainment from watching Power Rangers and then doing podcasts about it. Projects for my life. I mean, I guess my biggest project coming up is going to be finding a new job. Because I am still expecting to be made redundant at some point in the future. It's in theory all signed off. It's just they're not letting me go yet. So that will be quite a big life project. I would like to do more YouTube-y type stuff, but I think less of the kind of streaming type thing. I think it'll probably be more structured than that. I had thought about maybe doing this as some kind of ongoing thing. I'm thinking right now that maybe that's not an option. I'm thinking maybe I don't quite have the wherewithal, the kind of... I feel like I'm not really able to just riff for half an hour. Maybe that's not just me. But yeah, I'd like to do some kind of proper YouTube series with editing and stuff. Problem is, I don't know how to do much editing and stuff. I certainly don't know how to do any of the fancy things like animations and sort of slides and, all that kind of thing. My go-to games. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a massive gamer. I know I've kind of picked it up a lot more in the last year. But generally, I've not... I sort of was a massive gamer as a kid. But in recent years, I'll have phases of games and then not play them for months and months. My go-to games, I guess, are Mario. Let's face it. All of the Mario games. If I want to just have a gaming hit, I'll put on a Mario. But I like the Zelda games as well. Link to the Past will always be a kind of... I'll always come back to that. Grax says, what about asking for questions from the internet before starting an AMA? That way you have something to start with. Yeah, it's very easy, I think, to come up with good ideas in hindsight. Mook says, so if I wasn't laid up with pain and I wasn't working, what would I be doing? I think I would be trying to work on some kind of video series. At the moment, probably involving gameplay in some form, but it's really hard to come up with an idea that other people haven't already done better. Every now and then I'll come up with an idea and go, oh, maybe I could do it, and then I'll sort of look in my YouTube recommended video, and oh, no, they've already, Octavius Kitten's already done that, or Kim Justice has already done that, or, there's a lot of great YouTubers out there. So I feel like I'd be kind of launching myself from scratch into quite a crowded market, really. There's got to be some sort of unique spin that I can put on it, but I don't know what that is yet. Hey, maybe we'll find out together. We probably won't. But yeah, there's that. Incidentally, I saw that I'm really struggling to have an opinion on the fact that Big Brother has been cancelled. I saw that come up, and I was like, I remember watching the first Big Brother, and it was like, wow, that's amazing. Grax Grax has been meaning to thank me for promoting the Good Sex, Bad Sex podcast. Started listening to it and it's really fascinating. I find that so hard to... Because the Good Sex, Bad Sex podcast is a Metro podcast, which is co-hosted by one of my friends, Miranda. And I've reached... it's kind of an odd thing with Miranda, because... she used to be a sex worker and things, and that's kind of her shtick. That sounds quite demeaning to call it her shtick, but that is her thing. That she talks about in her stand-up and thing. She's done a whole sitcom on Audible called Slaving Away about being a sex worker, and so it's very much an area that she minds, and sort of sex in general. I guess she's kind of graduated to that. I feel like I've reached a weird thing where I find it quite difficult to listen to her talking about the sex. I feel like after I get to know people a certain amount, I'm like, I don't really want to hear that. It's a bit... So, yeah, I've not actually listened to much of the Good Sex, Bad Sex podcast. But what I listened to, I felt was really well done and really informative, and would would recommend to anyone. But on a personal level, I'm just like, that's a friend of mine, that is. And it's just a bit much, to be honest. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, guys. I don't really want to be listening to you talking about felching or whatever, they're talking about. Mook says, people still watch Big Brother? I only watched the first series. Yeah, apparently they do, although I guess not enough people to make it commercially viable to keep doing it. I've not watched it since about series 3 or 4. I think every now and then I would tune into a launch night, but it's very different. Grax likes talking about sex any time of the day. I get the impression it's a very different show to what it used to be. And that's inevitable, because people know the show now. They know that there's tricks to it, and they know that they're going to get famous. People still watch it. People still watch all of the reality shows. And I've got no ill will against it. This is, there's a lot of people gloating. And for one thing, I would say that whether you're gloating about it or sad about it, it's coming back. That's just a given. It's not going to be off screens for long. Even if it doesn't get picked up right away, give it 5 years. Someone will go, oh, why haven't we done Big Brother in a while? That was really popular. Let's do it. Because that's how TV works now. There's never any dead ideas, just ideas waiting for a reboot. Including Reboot, and don't get me started on the reboot of that, because that was fucking shocking. Reboot The Guardian Code on Netflix, a kind of, in theory, revival of the 90s CGI show Reboot, and oh god, it was bad. And they turned it into this kind of Power Rangers-y type thing, which, hey, I'm for. I like Power Rangers, if it's done well. And it wasn't done well. It was, really just crap. And had very little relation to the old show. And the relation that it did have was confusing. They did have the old characters turn up in an episode, and they were just acting like caricatures. It was the whole sort of Turtles Forever thing. Hey, Matt, I'm currently going off on a tangent about reboots, and now I'm about to talk about Turtles Forever. So that's fun. Turtles Forever, that annoyed me. As much as I could. In case you didn't know, it was one of the Ninja Turtles anniversary sort of cartoon films. And I guess it would have been the 2007 animation at the time. They had it cross over with the 1980s Turtles animation. And, it was upsetting. As much as it was kind of fun to see the conceit happen, it was upsetting that they didn't get the original voice actors back, because I think there were union issues. It would have been too expensive. but also they just made the original Turtles into dumbasses. And even though they were dumbasses, there came a point where you just like, oh, they weren't. I mean, they were shit, but they weren't that shit. It's yeah. No, they didn't draw each character in two slightly different ways, Matt, you snarky fucker. Yeah, applying a level of critique that isn't present in Blog to Who. I love you, Matt. We've discussed this. Yep. Anyway, yeah. Where was it? No, they very much, because the original Turtles were kind of campy, and by 2007 they were slightly kind of darker, not massively darker, but it was a more serious show. But they pretty much gave the old Turtles a lobotomy, and I think a team up is always on a dodgy footing when it doesn't play to the strengths of both teams. When it denigrates one team sort of to promote the other one. And it felt very much like, hey, didn't the Turtles used to be shit? Well, these ones are good. I mean, the current teenage, well, I say current, I think it's finished now, but the 2012 Nickelodeon show, that crossed over with the original Turtles a few times, and not only did they get the voice actors back, it helped that Rob Paulsen was already on the team. He played Raphael in the original, and he played Donatello in that show. Rob Paulsen, of course, played the Brain. Played Pinky in Pinky and the Brain, and all sorts of other voices. You'd know him if you looked him up. So look him up. He's got a really good show, Talking Toons, which I've not really watched, but he interviews people who have done voice work. It's kind of fun. But they've done it, and yeah, it's still they still acknowledge that there's different sensibilities between the two teams, but they sort of allow that to breathe a bit more, and they allow it to. They don't just piss on the 80s Turtles from a great height. It's like, yeah, they were a bit silly, but also they can do this and this and this. Yeah. I mean, I'm coming up to about the half-hour mark on this, so I think I'm probably gonna wrap it up. My voice is going a bit croaky. I'm kind of getting hungry, if I'm honest. I feel like I've hit a flow towards the end, though. I think there is maybe scope, if I actually give myself things to talk about. I might do more of these streams, rather than just... Wait, Grax says wait. What's my favourite colour? Green, but not the green that you've got as your username. There we go. So, yes, thank you for joining me, if you have. As Richard O'Wardy says on the Crystal Maze, thank you for watching, if indeed you still are. That's a host that I took a while to get used to, but I actually really enjoy him as a Crystal Maze host now. But hey, that's a story for another time. Look, I've been PDT. This has been a massive waste of everybody's time, but thank you for joining me. Yeah, click the buttons, the buttons that people tell you to do, the subscribe buttons and the like buttons and the notification buttons. All the buttons. Just click all the buttons. Click every button. We did waste it together. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mook. And hey, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm glad you enjoyed it too, unless you didn't, in which case, don't tell me, it's just mean. Bye.